This is Mr. Eugene, and today we're examining the asymmetry at the heart of modern marriage failure. The double standard so normalized that most people don't even see it as a double standard. The pattern where wives demand certain things from their husbands while providing exactly none of those same things in return. Not occasionally, not during rough patches, systematically, as the operating standard of the marriage. She expects his full attention when she talks. She expects emotional support when she's upset. She expects financial provision regardless of her attitude. She expects patience with her flaws. What does she give him in return? Half listening while on her phone. Man up when he's struggling. Resentment about money even as she spends it. Constant criticism of his shortcomings. The expectations flow one direction, from her to him. What she demands, she doesn't provide. What she requires, she doesn't give. The marriage operates under rules where his obligations are absolute and hers are optional. This asymmetry doesn't just create frustration, it systematically destroys the marriage by making partnership impossible. You cannot build healthy relationship on one-sided expectations. You cannot maintain love when the rules only apply to one person. Stay with me. Once you see these 4 specific expectations and the 4 corresponding violations, you'll understand why so many marriages fail. Expectation. 1. Full attention when she talks. Let me start with the first expectation and how it's systematically violated. What she expects from him when she's talking, she expects his complete attention, eyes on her, phone down. Whatever he's doing stops, full engagement with what she's saying. If he's watching something, he pauses it. If he's working on something, he stops. If he's in the middle of something, he puts it aside. Because when she needs to talk, that becomes the priority. And this isn't just for important conversations. This is for everything. Her day, her thoughts, her feelings, her observations, her story about something that happened. All of it requires his full attention. If he doesn't give full attention, if he keeps watching TV, if he stays on his phone, if he's clearly only half listening, she's upset. He's not present. He doesn't care. He's not prioritizing her. He's being a bad husband. This expectation is clear, enforced consistently, and violation creates immediate consequences. His attention when she talks is non-negotiable. What she actually gives him, now watch what happens when he talks. When he wants to share something, when he needs to process something, when he has thoughts or observations or stories. She's on her phone, scrolling Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, eyes on screen, giving minimal responses. Yeah, Not actually listening, not actually engaged, not actually present. He can tell she's not listening. She's going through the motions while her attention is elsewhere. If he stops talking mid-sentence, she doesn't notice. If he tests her by saying something ridiculous, she doesn't catch it. She's not hearing him. She's tolerating him talking while doing something else. Or she interrupts. He's mid-thought, and she cuts in with something completely unrelated. His point doesn't get finished because hers is more important. His story gets abandoned because hers takes priority. Or she's clearly waiting for him to stop so she can talk. Not listening to understand. Not engaged with what he's saying, just waiting for her turn. The second he pauses, she pivots to what she wants to discuss. He gets half listening at best. Phone scrolling, interruptions, waiting for her turn. None of the full attention she demands from him, none of the presence, none of the engagement. The asymmetry she requires full attention. She provides minimal attention. She demands he put everything aside when she talks. She won't put her phone down when he talks. She expects complete engagement. She gives distracted tolerance. This communicates clearly, what I have to say matters. What you have to say doesn't. My thoughts deserve full attention. Yours deserve whatever attention I have left after scrolling social media. Over time, this asymmetry kills his desire to share anything with her. Why talk when she's not listening? Why try to connect verbally when verbal connection only flows one direction? He stops talking, stops sharing, becomes the silent, withdrawn husband. Not because he's naturally uncommunicative, because he learned his communication doesn't matter to her. Expectation 2. Emotional support when she's upset, the second expectation, and its violation is even more destructive. What she expects from him when she's upset, struggling, stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, she expects full emotional support from him. Immediately, completely, without hesitation, she expects him to listen, actually listen. Not try to fix, not offer solutions. Just listen and validate. Hear her feelings, acknowledge her struggle, make her feel understood. She expects him to be patient, even if she's being irrational, even if her stress is making her difficult, even if she's taking frustration out on him. He needs to absorb it. Be calm. Be stable. Be the rock she can lean on. She expects him to drop whatever he's doing to support her. If she needs emotional processing, that becomes the priority. His work, his projects, his rest, all secondary to her emotional needs. And she expects this consistently, daily if needed, for as long as needed, without complaint, without him expressing that it's draining. His job is to be her emotional support system. This expectation is absolute. If he's not emotionally available when she needs it, if he's impatient, if he tries to fix instead of listen, if he suggests she's overreacting, he's failing as a husband. What she actually gives him, now watch what happens when he's struggling, when he's stressed about work, when he's anxious about something, when he's overwhelmed, when he needs emotional support. First response, just handle it. You'll figure it out. You always do. Dismissive, no actual support, just expectation. He'll manage it himself. Second response, man up. Don't be so sensitive. You're being dramatic. His struggle gets minimized. His feelings get invalidated. His need for support gets framed as weakness. Third response, she gets irritated. His stress is adding to her stress. His need for support is burden on her. She doesn't have capacity for his emotions. He needs to deal with it so she doesn't have to. Fourth response, she makes it about her. Well, I'm stressed too. At least you don't have to deal with everything I'm dealing with. His struggle becomes competition about whose struggle is worse, and hers always wins. He gets no listening, no validation, no patience with his difficult emotions, no support, just dismissal, minimization, irritation, or competition. If he pushes for support, if he insists he needs to process emotions, she accuses him of being needy, of being too much, of expecting her to be his therapist. The same support she demands daily, he's not allowed to need occasionally. The asymmetry she requires unlimited emotional support. She provides zero emotional support. She demands he absorb all her emotions. She can't absorb any of his. She expects infinite patience with her struggles. She gives zero patience with his. This communicates, your role is to support me emotionally. My role is to receive that support. Your emotions are your problem to manage alone. My emotions are our problem to manage together. Over years, this asymmetry teaches him to suppress all emotion, to never show struggle, to never need support, because needing support gets punished while providing support is mandatory. He becomes emotionally unavailable, shut down, disconnected. Not because men don't have emotions, because he learned emotions make him weak in her eyes and won't receive support anyway. Then she complains he's emotionally unavailable, has no idea she created it by refusing to provide the emotional support she demands from him. Expectation 3, financial provision. Regardless of her attitude, the third expectation reveals the transactional reality beneath the performance of partnership. What she expects from him, she expects consistent financial provision, regardless of how she treats him, regardless of her attitude, regardless of whether she's holding up her end of the marriage, his income, his resources, his financial contribution. These are non-negotiable. If his income drops, if he loses his job, if his earning decreases, this is a crisis, major problem, source of stress, and often resentment. His value is directly tied to his provision. She expects lifestyle maintenance or improvement. The house, the cars, the vacations, the lifestyle she's accustomed to, this must continue. His job is ensuring financial resources flow consistently. She expects this without having to be pleasant, without having to be respectful, without having to maintain intimacy, without having to fulfill her end of the marriage contract. His provision must continue regardless of her performance. If he suggests that his willingness to work overtime, to handle stress, to provide at high level might be affected by how he's treated at home, she's outraged. That's financial abuse. That's control. That's manipulation. His provision is supposed to be unconditional. What she actually gives him, now watch how she relates to the money he provides. First, she resents it, even while spending it, even while enjoying the lifestyle it creates. There's underlying resentment that she needs his income, that he earns more, that the household depends on his provision. This resentment manifests as minimizing how hard he works, treating his income as ours while hers is mine, spending without appreciation, making him feel guilty about money even though he's providing it. Second, she provides no appreciation. The provision is expected, baseline, not something deserving gratitude. He's just doing what he's supposed to do. The fact that he's working 60 hours weekly, handling enormous stress, sacrificing personal time to provide, this deserves no special recognition. Third, she gives no connection between provision and treatment. He works himself into exhaustion, providing comfortable lifestyle, Does this earn him respect, appreciation, pleasant home environment, consistent intimacy? No. His provision is disconnected from how he's treated. She'll spend the money he earned while being cold, critical, withholding intimacy, creating chaos. The provision flows regardless of her behavior, so her behavior faces no consequences. Fourth, she complains about money, even while the bills are paid, even while lifestyle is comfortable. There's never enough. He should be earning more, should be providing more. The goalpost moves constantly. The asymmetry she expects unconditional financial provision. She provides conditional appreciation at best. She demands he provide regardless of her treatment. She treats him poorly regardless of his provision. His income must flow regardless of her behavior. Her behavior has zero connection to his provision. This is pure transactional extraction dressed up as marriage. This communicates, your value is your income. Your worth is your provision. How I treat you is unrelated to what you provide. You provide because that's your role. My role is receiving while giving minimal return. Over years, this asymmetry creates massive resentment. He's working himself to death for someone who doesn't appreciate it and treats him poorly. The provision continues because he's trapped, but the love dies completely. Expectation 4. Patience with her flaws. The fourth expectation shows how grace flows one direction only. What she expects from him, she expects infinite patience with her flaws, her struggles, her mistakes, her shortcomings. She expects him to accept her as she is, unconditionally, without criticism, without requests for change. If she's gained weight, he needs to love her anyway. Accept her body, never suggest she exercise. Her weight is her business, and his job is being attracted regardless. If she's moody, difficult, emotional, that's just her. He needs to be patient, understand she's complex. Accept that she has ups and downs, navigate her emotional weather without complaint. If she makes mistakes, forgets things, drops balls, he needs to be gracious, understanding, forgiving. People make mistakes. He shouldn't make her feel bad about human error. If she has flaws in how she communicates, how she manages stress, how she relates to him, he needs to accept that's who she is. People have flaws. Real love accepts flaws. He should love her despite imperfections. This expectation is absolute. If he criticizes her weight, her mood management, her mistakes, her communication, he's being a bad husband. Real love is unconditional. Real acceptance means accepting everything about her without request for change. What she actually gives him now, watch how she treats his flaws. If he gains weight, she notices immediately, makes comments, suggests gym, compares him to how he used to look, shows decreased attraction. His weight is definitely her business, and he needs to handle it. If he's stressed, frustrated, dealing with difficult emotions, she has minimal patience. He's being difficult. He needs to manage himself better. She can't deal with his moods. He should keep his emotions in check. If he makes mistakes, forgets things, drops balls, she's critical immediately. How could he forget? Why wasn't he paying attention? She has to do everything. Can't rely on him for anything. His mistakes prove his inadequacy. If he has flaws in how he communicates, how he manages stress, how he relates to her, she demands change. He needs to work on this, needs to fix this, needs to grow. She's not accepting these flaws. He needs to improve. She gives him constant criticism, constant requests to change, constant feedback about his shortcomings, constant comparison to what he should be, zero acceptance of his flaws, zero patience with his struggles. The asymmetry, she expects unconditional acceptance. She provides constant criticism. She demands patience with all her flaws. She gives zero patience with his. She requires grace for her mistakes. She gives judgment for his. This communicates, I deserve to be accepted as I am. You deserve to be criticized until you meet my standards. My flaws are part of me you must love. Your flaws are problems you must fix. Over years, this asymmetry destroys his self-esteem. He's constantly being measured and found wanting, constantly criticized, constantly told to change, while she's exempt from all criticism and demands full acceptance. He becomes either resentful or broken, either angry at the double standard or convinced he's fundamentally inadequate. Either way, the marriage dies. The cumulative effect, how these four destroy everything. These four expectations and violations don't operate in isolation. They compound. They reinforce each other. Together, they create a marriage that's fundamentally unworkable. He becomes invisible. He can't talk without her phone competing for attention. He can't have emotions without being told to man up. He can't reduce provision without crisis. He can't have flaws without criticism. His thoughts don't matter. His emotions don't matter. His humanity doesn't matter. He exists to provide attention, support, money, and perfection. What he needs in return is irrelevant. He becomes invisible as a person, visible only as a utility. His value is what he provides, not who he is, and what he provides is taken for granted while what he needs is dismissed. Over time, he stops existing as himself, becomes a shell performing functions. The person inside dies from being unseen, unheard, unsupported, unaccepted. The marriage becomes pure transaction she takes. His attention, his emotional support, his financial provision, his patience with her flaws. He receives half attention, dismissal, resentment, criticism. This isn't partnership. This isn't mutual support. This is extraction. One person taking everything while giving minimal return. The marriage dies because it was never actually partnership. It was always transactional with asymmetric obligations. She gets everything. He gets used. He resents every function. Eventually, he resents giving attention because he doesn't receive it, resents providing emotional support because he doesn't receive it, resents financial provision because it's not appreciated, resents being patient with her flaws while his are criticized. Everything she expects, he resents. Not because he's selfish, because giving everything while receiving nothing breaks people. He stops giving freely, starts giving minimally, starts checking boxes without heart, becomes the resentful, withdrawn, barely present husband. She has no idea she created this. She just sees him as having changed, as failing her, as not being the man she married. Zero awareness that her one-sided expectations and violations killed what they had. The breaking point. Eventually, most men either leave or die internally while staying. Leaving means divorce, financial destruction, loss of daily access to children, but freedom from asymmetric expectations, freedom from being invisible, freedom from giving everything and receiving nothing. Staying means death, emotional death, becoming numb, checking out completely, going through motions, existing but not living, present physically but absent in every way that matters. Neither option is good. Both are a result of the 4 asymmetric expectations destroying the marriage over years. What these expectations reveal the pattern of expecting everything while providing nothing reveals fundamental truth about how these wives view marriage and husbands. Marriage is about her needs. The purpose of marriage, in her framework, is meeting her needs. She needs attention, so he provides it. She needs emotional support, so he provides it. She needs financial provision, so he provides it. She needs acceptance, so he provides it. His needs are secondary at best, invisible at worst. The marriage exists to serve her. His role is serving. Her role is being served. This isn't partnership. This is service relationship where he works and she receives. He's utility, not person. He exists to perform functions. Attention provider, emotional support system, financial resource, patience dispenser. He's not a full human being with needs, emotions, flaws, desires. He's a collection of utilities that should perform their functions without requiring maintenance or reciprocity. When utilities break down, you don't appreciate them. You're frustrated they're not working. That's how she treats him. Not as person deserving care, as utility that should function without complaint. She's entitled to asymmetry. She genuinely believes she deserves to expect everything while providing nothing in return. This isn't conscious manipulation. This is internalized entitlement. She deserves attention. She deserves support. She deserves provision. She deserves patience. These are rights, things owed to her by virtue of being wife. What does he deserve? To provide those things. That's his role. That's what husbands do. Reciprocity isn't part of the equation because his job is giving and hers is receiving. This entitlement is so normalized, she can't even see the asymmetry when it's pointed out. Of course she gets support and he doesn't. Of course her flaws are accepted and his are criticized. That's just how marriage works. What needs to change this pattern is destroying marriages everywhere. Here's what has to shift. For wives, give what you expect. If you expect full attention when you talk, provide full attention when he talks. Phone down. Eyes on him. Actually listening. Actually engaged. If you expect emotional support when you're upset, provide emotional support when he's struggling. Listen. Validate. Be patient. Be his rock the way you expect him to be yours. If you expect financial provision, provide appreciation, respect, and treatment that makes provision worthwhile. Connect how you treat him to what he provides. Make his effort worth it. If you expect patience with your flaws, provide patience with his. Accept him as he is the way you demand acceptance. Give grace for his mistakes the way you expect grace for yours. Match what you give to what you expect. That's not transactional. That's basic fairness. That's partnership. Recognize the asymmetry. Most women operating this pattern can't see it. They're so focused on what they're not getting, they can't see what they're not giving. Track it for 1 week. Every time you expect something from him, note whether you provide that same thing to him. Every time you demand something, note whether you give it in return. The pattern will become visible. You expect his full attention while scrolling phone when he talks. You expect his emotional support while telling him to man up. You expect his provision while resenting it. You expect acceptance of your flaws while criticizing his constantly. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The question is whether you care enough to change it. For husbands, stop providing without reciprocity. If she expects your full attention, require hers. If she won't put her phone down when you talk, don't drop everything when she talks. Match your attention to hers. If she expects your emotional support, require hers. If she tells you to man up when you're struggling, stop absorbing all her emotions without complaint. Match your support to hers. If she expects your provision, require connection between provision and treatment. If she treats you poorly while spending money you earned, reduce what you're willing to sacrifice to provide. Match your provision effort to her appreciation and respect. If she expects patience with her flaws, require patience with yours. If she constantly criticizes you, stop accepting all her flaws without comment. Match your acceptance to hers. This isn't petty. This is self-respect. This is refusing to be used. This is requiring reciprocity instead of accepting asymmetry. She'll accuse you of being transactional, of keeping score, of being a bad husband. Hold firm. Partnership requires reciprocity. You're not being transactional. You're requiring basic fairness. Final thoughts: the 4 things wives expect but refuse to give back. Full attention. Emotional support. Financial provision appreciation. Patience with flaws. These asymmetric expectations don't create minor inconvenience. They systematically destroy marriages by making partnership impossible, by turning marriage into extraction where one person takes everything and gives minimal return. The wives who expect everything while providing nothing destroy their marriages and blame their husbands for becoming distant. The wives who give what they expect build marriages where both people thrive. The husbands who provide everything while receiving nothing die slowly, either leave eventually or become shells. The husbands who require reciprocity maintain marriages where both people matter. You cannot build healthy marriage on one-sided expectations. You cannot maintain love when rules apply to only one person. You cannot sustain partnership when one person's needs matter and the others don't. Either both people's needs matter or neither does. Either both people give and receive or the marriage is exploitation. Either expectations flow both directions or the relationship is fundamentally broken. Drop a comment. Men, are you giving everything and receiving nothing? Women, do you expect what you don't provide? Subscribe for the truths about marriage asymmetry that explain why modern marriages fail.